video demonstrates how to set up an AST card alone for both a test and a quality control isolate at the Smart Carrier Station. The next isolate requires only a gram-positive susceptibility card. In situations where identification of an organism has been determined using another method, an AST card can be run alone. The initial standardized inoculum must still be prepared. At the Smart Carrier Station, with the cursor in the next available Lab ID field, slot 5 for this cassette, scan the barcode from the culture plate or type the number using the keyboard and press Enter. The isolate number defaults to 1. For isolates 2 through 9, use the arrow key to go back to the isolate field. Type the correct number and press Enter. Because we are testing isolate 1 for this lab ID, no change is necessary. Remove the room temperature AST test card from its foil pouch. At the Smart Carrier Station, with the cursor in the card type field of slot 5, scan the AST card barcode. Scanning an AST card with no paired ID card tells the Smart Carrier Station that the ID is already known and no ID card will be tested. The indicator in the lower part of the screen displays an X in slot 5 to represent no ID card. Also, notice that the Smart Carrier Station automatically advances to the next slot, in this case, slot 6. The slot 6 indicator shows an S with a plus sign to represent a gram-positive AST card. Place the AST card in cassette slot 6, standing on end with the transfer tube pointed towards the display. Specific organism identifications can be entered in the Smart Carrier Station by 3 methods. Additional identifications are entered in the Vitek 2 system software. First, use the Job Aid card and scan the organism ID barcode. Second, if the organism ID code is known, it can be typed using the keyboard. Third, press the Help key to display a list of organisms. Use the down arrow key to select the organism, then press Enter. Next, enter an offline test if needed. Note, AST GP cards require an offline beta-lactamase result for Staphylococcus and Enterococcus species on most AST GP cards. No offline tests are needed for AST GN cards. The beta-lactamase result can be entered using one of 3 methods. First, use the Job Aid card and scan the barcode for the result. Or, second, if the result code is known, it can be typed using the keyboard. Typing a plus sign indicates beta-lactamase positive. Typing a minus sign indicates beta-lactamase negative. The third method to enter the beta-lactamase result is to press the Help key to display a list of result choices. Use the down arrow key to select the result, then press Enter. If required by your standard operating procedure, label the top third of a 12 by 75 mm clear polystyrene tube with the accession number. Using the dispense set, dispense 3 milliliters of 0.45 to 0.50% saline into the tube. Use a sterile stick or swab to transfer morphologically similar colonies to the saline tube. Avoid picking up any agar with the stick or swab. Mix well to prepare a homogeneous suspension. Although optional, capping the tube and using a vortex is often helpful. Clean the outside of the tube with lint-free tissue or lens paper. Using the DensaCheck Plus, verify the inoculum optical density equivalent to the McFarland units required for the card type. If the suspension requires adjusting, add more saline or organism following instructions provided in the ID and AST pair setup video. Once the optical density is within the correct range, place the inoculum tube in well 5. This well has a white circle, which, as you may recall, indicates that a tube with inoculum suspension should be placed in this well. The X above the circle indicates that an ID card will not be run because the organism identification was determined using another method. Position 6 has a black circle below the S+ sign, indicating that an empty tube should be placed in the well in front of the gram-positive susceptibility card. Turn the AST card and place the transfer tube into the empty tube. Cards to be used for quality control (QC) purposes are set up much like those for patient isolates, with just a few differences. First, the lab ID is the organism's American Type Culture Collection ATCC number, for example, ATCC 29212. Second, a QC isolate group can contain only one card, either ID or AST. Third, organism ID, offline tests, and modifier fields in the Smart Carrier Station should be left blank. The next example demonstrates setting up a gram-positive AST card for quality control. Press the next slot key to move to slot 7 in the cassette. In the Lab ID field of slot 7, scan the ATCC organism number from the Job Aid card and press the Enter key. Notice for QC you are not given the option to copy the Lab ID from the previous slot. Remove the room temperature AST test card from its foil pouch. In the card type field of slot 7, scan the AST card barcode. Notice the Smart Carrier Station automatically advances to the next slot, 8. The indicator in the lower part of the screen displays an X for the skipped slot 7 to indicate no card is placed in that slot. The white circle for well 7 means that a tube of inoculum should be placed in that position, while the black circle for well 8 indicates an empty tube should be placed there. Place the card in slot 8, standing on end, with the transfer tube pointing towards the display. Do not enter an organism ID, offline test, or modifier for QC isolates. Label a clear polystyrene tube and dispense 3 milliliters of 0.45 to 0.50% saline. Use a sterile stick or swab to prepare a homogeneous suspension, being careful to avoid picking up any agar. Verify the correct inoculum density using the DensaCheck Plus. Place the inoculum tube in well 7. Place an empty clear polystyrene tube in well 8. Turn the AST card and place the transfer tube into the empty tube. If there are additional isolates to be set up, press the next slot key.